Good morning, and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11, and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Here to bring you some pitching for today, the 13th of August. It is Thursday. We do have a 6-game main slate. And then it's like 3 games later. We'll try to touch on those 3 games as well. But we'll just start out with the main slate. A reminder that this is a first look at the pitching options on the slate. And I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where majority of my action is. If you're playing FanDuel, cut my pool in half or so. Pricing isn't quite as tight. You don't have to be as creative. It allows you to get stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. All right, now let's just jump right in so we can get this out to you quickly. Parker Messick and Kiter Montero. Montero's a guy that I've used a handful of times recently. And given the 6-game slate that we do have, I do think he's in play. I'm not super pumped to use him. He's pretty bad against Cleveland the first time I faced him, thanks to walks. Just 2 hits allowed, so a lot of those numbers are going to stand out pretty strongly for us. I'm going to use him just because I think we need some guys. It's somewhat conceivable to believe that our starting pitching combines, our 2 SPs on DK combine for like 35 fantasy points. Given the slate that we do have. Parker Messick on the other side has been pretty good. Probably a decent spot. 20 plus in 3 out of his last 4. Had hit a little bit of a lull there. Facing a Detroit team that I don't mind left-handed pitching against. Even Dylan Dingler's much weaker against left-handed pitching, which says quite a bit. Riley Green going on the IL. Certainly hurts him, but is a left-on-left spot that I think would have benefited Messick a little bit. With all that said, he's been phenomenal on the road, so he's going to be one of the higher-owned pitchers on the slate, I have to assume. Pitt, Miami. I've no interest in Tyler Phillips, I don't believe. The only reason I'd have interest in him is he's been pretty good at home, but also just Pittsburgh strikes out a ton. His K numbers are at home are pretty strong, but his walks are up there. That's kind of the big worry. But those home numbers are very intriguing. So maybe I do need to reconsider. But as of right now, I'm not planning on playing Tyler Phillips. Ashcraft on the other side, 1 start against Miami, 11 fantasy points. Not going to get it done for us. I think he's in play just because he does have a bunch of upside. He's really kind of 5 or 6 innings. His K numbers have come down quite a bit recently. That's a bit of a worry. I don't really know if there's a ton of K upside in the matchup, especially without Stowers. Like, he added some Ks, but obviously he added some potency to the Miami lineup. I like Ashcraft just because he has the big ceiling upside. There's a route to him being the highest scoring pitcher on the slate, so that's why he's going to make my pool. Seattle and the Yankees get Logan Gilbert, Max Fried. Was it 2 games ago where offenses couldn't do much, and then yesterday there's just a bunch of runs? Logan Gilbert, I'm obviously going to play. He's been really good on the road, which is kind of surprising. Some really weird home road splits for a guy that should dominate when he's at home. The Yankees aren't the most potent offense right now, but they do have a handful of guys that certainly can. And obviously this ballpark can lead to home runs. Logan Gilbert's allowed 1 home run in 54 road innings this season. It blows my mind that he's allowed 18 home runs at home. Since he's on the road, definitely going to be somebody I want to utilize. The other side, Max Fried. Max Fried is going to be probably my highest owned pitcher, to be honest. ERA takes a hit when he's at home, which you kind of expect in this ballpark, but dominated Seattle the one time he faced them. 22 plus fantasy points in 3 of his 4 starts since returning from the IL. Just one rough one in there. Otherwise, he's been pretty good. Ramped up to 90 pitches in his last start. Extra day of rest again. We should see a normal outing out of Max Fried. So for 8,500, that feels like a steal for a guy that was, 10K. So Gladly take Max Fried. Cincinnati and the White Sox. It's going to be a game where I don't target pitching. Abbott doesn't really showcase a ton of upside for me, and I rarely want to play him. He's solid on the road, and while I don't mind left-handed pitching against the White Sox, I just don't think Abbott's got enough upside for me. So he's one that I will gladly pass on. Davis Martin on the other side, I'm going to pass on him. Maybe it'll come back to bite me again with my anti-Luis Castillo yesterday, but let's be honest, Davis Martin's been pretty bad since early June. He pitched in just an inning 4 days ago. I don't remember that. Was that a rain? It might have been a rain thing. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I don't know, everything might be a little messed up with him. Plus, obviously, he just hasn't been super strong. So for me, I don't really have an interest in him. Obviously, the matchup can provide upside for him, but I'm just going to pass and hope that Cincinnati gets back to hitting some home runs. Boston and Toronto. Peyton Tolley, definitely somebody I'm interested in. Coming off of a 42 spot in his last start. It's an insane performance, really. 13.6 the last time against Toronto, 8.3 the time before that. Obviously, this version of Toronto's lineup is not quite the same. He is weaker from a fantasy points perspective on the road because his K rate just absolutely plummets. But his other numbers are actually stronger on the road. So we should see some decent upside out of him. I don't mind using pitching against Toronto right now just because the offense is kind of blah. One of my stances, I think, is going to be that I am going to play Max Scherzer. Can't say that I've played him at all this season. Put up 20 against Colorado at home to begin the season. 2 starts ago at home, put up 18.5. Like, if you told me he had 18.5 today against Boston, I probably would play 40% Max Scherzer, just because of how I feel about the pitching. It's really going to be stuck to, mid 80s in pitch count. But Boston, despite being super hot for a long time, have really fallen off. A lot of guys starting to cool down, and it's kind of what we expect, some regression towards the mean. I am going to mix in Max Scherzer. Can't say I'm going to have more than 8 to 12% unless somebody from the future comes back and tells me that he puts up 18.5 plus fantasy points. Last game on this slate, the Cubs and the Nationals. Kevin Gausman, certainly somebody I'm going to be interested in. Looked pretty good in his Cubs debut. Strikeouts are still super low for a guy that, usually approaches 200 in a season. The Washington lineup is weaker, right? Like James Woods on the IL. They traded Luis Garcia. They had Dylan Cruz, I think, leading off yesterday. It's one of those lineups. They also traded Curtis Mead. I was trying to think of who else they had gotten rid of, but yeah, Curtis Mead as well. I think Gausman's perfectly fine play. I have no complaints or worry. I mean, there's always worries, right? Like, the guy still remaining in Washington can hit a few home runs, but it's just a much weaker lineup than the team that's crushed for extra base hits and runs scored on the season. Should see some regression to close out the season. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't even finish in the top 5 in runs or extra base hits once all is said and done. Despite, they might still be the leaders. Cade Cavalli on the other side, obviously a guy that I like a lot. Faded him at one point, and he put up a 45 spot, I think that was in my fade. I think. But yeah, he's pitched in 2 really bad ballparks for pitching over the last month and absolutely dominated. The Cubs scored a bunch of runs yesterday. It is a dangerous matchup for him, but he does have upside. And for me, we just want to play that upside on this particular slate. I'll live with the outcomes just because I'm playing a guy that I know that can get there for us. So there's that slate. I'm going to switch over, see if we can was trying to get the Field of Dreams game in the slate, in a slate, but because FanDuel does have it on a slate. As far as the Field of Dreams game, I debate Taj Bradley. Philly's lineup can be weaker. They've had some struggles since the All-Star game. I think I saw they're like 10-15 since the All-Star game or something like that. I think Taj Bradley's much more in play than Nola. So you add that game to these two games over on FanDuel. You use Taj Bradley. DeGrom for sure. Even though it seems like every time we get him in this spot against the Angels, he just underwhelms. 17 fantasy points here, but 7 strikeouts, I guess. Negative 4.6 here. I feel like he had other ones, but maybe just 2 starts. But still, plus he's on the road where he's been far worse. ERA approaching 5 on the road, which is not typical Jacob deGrom, but still, somebody on this slate that we want to use. Urania, probably we have to use him. Obviously, it's a small slate, etc. And I clicked on Roki Sasaki, apparently. No. There we go. 2 appearances versus Texas. A K per inning, high walk rate, but still 16 fantasy points per start. Starting at home, where he's been a lot better than on the road. I think you can do, well, normally could do worse than Urania, but it's just a small slate. Roki Sasaki pitching at home against the dangerous Milwaukee squad. Was decent against them the first time I faced him. He's definitely like the quintessential JPP pitcher. Since it's a small slate, definitely using him, but he's one I have questions about. Shane Drohan on the other side, I think he's probably the lowest owned guy that you're using on this slate. Coming off an atrocious start, 2+ earned allowed in 6 of 7. He's just not really going to be clean. I think we're seeing the Dodgers break out a little bit. So at some point, they're going to get scorching hot again. It's just not ideal. Now, I will say that I do like left-handed pitching more against the Dodgers than right-handed pitching. But for me, Drohan would be the lowest owned of these 4. He'd be the second lowest owned on the 3-game slate on FanDuel. Like, Nola would be my least favorite option on that slate. But there we have it. There's a look at all the pitching for today. If you enjoyed what it brings to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell. I'll get to you alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will drop links in the description below. You can use promo code BOOK, B-O-O-K, gets you 20% off any membership over at DFS Army. And there will be a link to our merch store. You can check that out. Check out my hoodie, some of the other designs. And as always, best of luck, everybody.